video, we're going to be covering some time management tips for preparing for the essay exam. Our first tip is that you should focus on the highly tested areas of law. However, I do want to be clear about what I'm saying. We are not encouraging you to skip any subject while preparing for the bar. In fact, skipping things or only studying subjects that are predicted to come up is not a solid way to prep. Instead, you should plan on covering every testable subject. That is the best way to ensure you'll be successful. So, what this tip is telling you to do is that when you cycle through each subject and you're preparing each one, you should study smart. This means you should start by focusing on the highly tested areas of law and the highly tested topics within each. This way, you are not ignoring anything, but instead, simply prioritizing. This means you are making sure the heavily tested rules are memorized and that you feel good about them before moving on to something less frequently tested. When you do this, you are not only maximizing your study time, but also maximizing your chances of being successful on the exam overall. Our second tip is if you want to get through more practice essays, but you don't have a ton of time, or if you're trying to get through more essays than you actually have time to fully write out and to fully self-grade, we recommend that you get in the habit of bullet pointing essays on a regular basis. While there is no substitute for actually writing out essays and self-grading them, being exposed to a large volume of questions and how the law is tested is really valuable. So, to strike a balance, make sure you are setting aside time to fully write out essays and to self-grade them, but also time to read questions and bullet point your answer. Bulleting your responses to essays is really helpful because you are getting the exposure of how they like to test the law, and you can test your ability to recall the law and apply it. I suggest you try to bullet the rules to the issues being tested. This way, you can check in on your memorization. Lastly, be sure you are not just reading essay questions and then the answers, and skipping over the bulleting of your response part of this process. If you are just reading the questions and answers, you are cutting too much out of this important process. Our third tip to help you get through more essays and to help with time management is to try to answer essay questions in less than 30 minutes. The idea behind this tip is you can really improve time management and get through more when you are studying, but you can also improve your timing for exam day by training yourself to work quicker. We recommend that you try to allocate 26 or 28 minutes instead of a full 30 minutes to each question. This way, you will have some extra time at the end to reread your answer or to add to it or to fix a typo. You will overall feel less rushed and stressed if you have a few extra minutes at the end. Our fourth tip is you should be smart about the essays that you complete. Keep in mind that certain topics are more highly tested than others. And if you're studying smart, you are trying to expose yourself to those highly tested issues. So, for instance, if you have time to complete 4 civil procedure essays, be picky about the ones that you complete. Don't do 4 questions that all test subject matter jurisdiction. Instead, do 1 and make sure the other 3 cover other highly tested topics within the subject. This will help you increase your exposure without increasing your workload. Remember, you can always come back to topics that you're struggling with, or you can bullet some additional essays on topics that you've already seen. Our final tip is that you should get your study plan together ahead of time. One thing we consistently find is that when people do not have a plan, they waste time. We recommend that you take some time at the end of your study week to gather your thoughts and your plans for the upcoming week. Think about where you plan on studying, what your meals are going to look like. Plan out your snacks, the things that you need to take with you if you're going to be studying away from your home, or where your resources are. You should even go as far as to plan out how many multiple choice questions you'll be doing, or how many essays and MPTs you'll be writing. This way, you're way more likely to stay on track if you have a game plan. So get in the habit of spending just a few minutes each week to plan out the next. This way, you can hit the ground running when Monday morning rolls around, and you won't be wasting any time trying to figure out what to do. Hopefully, you found these time management tips helpful.